Scott Holiday here, and welcome to Plus 2 Wrestling, and Happy New Year. Are you having a Happy New Year? As I look forward to 2020, look, I know we're halfway through January, all right? I wrote this script in 2025, and I just haven't had time to record an episode of Plus 2 Wrestling. I had to go to MagFest. I did a show at MagFest. We did a cosplay pro wrestling show. It was really cool. Matthew from Botchamania was there. He said he really liked the show. I would be in this picture, but Donkey Kong here threw me through a table, so I couldn't be. Anyway, let's get on my soapbox. So it's time for one of my favorite videos to do every year. This is where I break out my crystal ball, look deep into it, and do some prognosticating, because it is time to look into the future and see what will be predicted for 2026. This is my 2026 bingo card. Why a bingo card? Well, whenever something crazy happens in the world of wrestling, you have some wrestling pundit say, well, didn't have that on my bingo card. Well, I do. This is my bingo card, and this is what I'm predicting. These are 25 squares of things that I'm predicting, and hopefully, by the end of the year, I'll get a bingo. Now, this is a very important bit of criteria, though. It needs to be something that would make someone say, whew, didn't have that on my bingo card. I'm not going to predict things like Roman's going to win the Royal Rumble, or Cody Rhodes is going to turn heel, or Brock Lesnar's going to retire. Can't be anything like that. It has to be something that, not completely impossible, because I am predicting it to happen, but would be very surprising if it happens. So, before we can jump into my 2026 bingo card, we have to look back at the year 2025. Let's look at my bingo card for 2025 and see if I get a bingo. So let's take a look at last year's card, which you may notice that for me is slightly to my left. So we start out with Corey Graves wrestles. Remember, set your mind back a year when Corey Graves was throwing up this big stink about having to do commentary on NXT. So thought that was going to be a storyline. So thought we were getting a match with Corey Graves. That did not happen. But my next one actually did happen. I said that the Royal Rumble winner will be someone who had not wrestled for a year. And who won the Women's Royal Rumble? It was Charlotte Flair, who we had not seen for over a year. So that one gets marked off. Unlike this next one, Cena wrestles in TNA. I thought for sure before Cena retired he'll have one match in TNA so he could say that he did it. It makes a lot more sense now for him to say that he was only in the WWE. I also said we'd see a match out of Mike Tyson. You know, we had the boxing match with him and one of the Logan brothers. I think it was Jake Paul. One of the Paul brothers, rather. That didn't happen. Really thought we would see Mike Tyson in a wrestling ring. Not the case. I also said we'd see the return of the Mixed Match Challenge. If you don't remember, the Mixed Match Challenge was a tournament that happened on Facebook featuring tag teams of different genders. I don't know what made me think that would make a return, but I was all about it. And speaking of tag team wrestling, I thought we would see new tag team champs in Cage and Cope, which did not happen. They did reunite, but they never did win the title. It seemed like they were kind of angling towards it, and now that FTR is the tag team champions over in AEW, I bet it happens very soon. It's not on my next bingo card, but I think it's coming. I also thought that AEW would want to push out more content, and that's why I believed AEW Tough Enough would be coming. I just thought that they would do some sort of reality show, like some sort of competition reality show. That just seemed like something that AEW would have a lot of fun with and would introduce their product to other people. Didn't happen. A WWE First Blood match. that's something that I kind of predict every year, that we'll finally, pull off that Band-Aid and have our first blood match. I am now fully committed that we will barely see blood in the WWE for the next 5 to 10 years. Then we have Creed leaves Up, Up, Down, Down. I really thought with this heel turn that we would see Creed kind of step away and be like, I can't do Up, Up, Down, Down anymore. That didn't happen. A Speed title match on a premium live event. And what do you know? Sol Ruca defended the women's Speed title on NXT No Mercy. I'm taking it, all right? I know that it seemed to imply that I was saying like it was going to be at SummerSlam. But no, I'm taking this. It's not going to matter. I want my victories where I can. Next, we have Dirty Dom as Mr. Money in the Bank. Really thought that was going to happen. No, not the case. That went to Seth. I had the Young Bucks breaking up. I just thought that we had run the course of the Young Bucks and they needed to do something new so they'd break up. Instead, we got this Broke Bucks storyline, which I really enjoyed. Next, we have a Free Space, which I took out of my bingo card this year because I wanted to make this more difficult. Look how successful I am. I predicted a Survivor Series tag match actually taking place at Survivor Series. And I was close. It took place on the SmackDown before Survivor Series War Games. I think I should give up on that dream. I also predicted that Goldberg would be squashed. I thought that in Goldberg's last match, he would get someone to run through him like Goldberg, and it would be like a 12-second match. Not the case. He had a fine match with Gunther, but it was not a squash match. A WWE Ultimate X match. I really thought that we were going to take that TNA match and bring it over to WWE, and with the whole partnership that we would finally see an Ultimate X match in WWE. I think I said it would happen at WrestleMania. That ain't happen. I also said that Ric Flair's championship record would be broken by Randy Orton. I had this weird idea that Orton was going to win the title and beat Flair's record before Cena could. This way Cena would have a reason to have another match with Orton. I don't know. I just overthought it. I said that Tony would sell ROH. Still think that's a good idea. Didn't happen. I said that there would be a premium live event that takes place in 2 different locations, a la WrestleMania 2. That still has not happened, but something I think about all the time. This is a weird one. I said that a WWE talent would win the Joey Janela Spring Break Clusterfuck, and I picked the wrong company, as it was won by -1. AEW's -1 won the clusterfuck. I also said that we would see a title shot for Aubrey Edwards, AEW's premier female referee. Not the case. I said there would be a new AEW console game. Don't know what I was thinking when I predicted that one. It took forever for Fight Forever to come out. Don't know why I thought a whole new game would just magically appear. I said, this is an interesting one. I said that a WWE ID talent would debut in AEW before debuting in the WWE. Now, the ID talent has been seen mostly on Progress, on Tubi. There's been a few times where people like Swipe Right have appeared on NXT, but they never did appear on the main roster. Nor did they appear for AEW, but Zeta Steel did pop up on ROH. I think this could still end up being true. We're just going to have to wait for 2026. I said that WWE would launch a cryptocurrency, which at the time seemed crazy. Right now, I can't believe that didn't happen. That seems like such a WWE thing to do. And then finally, I predicted we would see the prophecy come true, and we would have a world championship run for Heath Slater. Not great. So this is how I did on the bingo card. I only really picked up 2 boxes. I'm not counting the free space as my success. Hoping to do a little bit better. Let's roll on to 2026. All right, let's get started. Just so you know, I took away my free space this year. So this is 25 predictions of things that I honestly believe could happen. I'm not saying the whole card's going to get filled out, but this is what I believe happens. I filled it out and then I randomized it. So this is in a random order and placed on my bingo card. We get started with something that I think might be the most obvious to happen. It's something that I definitely see could happening, and I also hedged my bets a bit in how I worded this. So we're going to kick things off with a McMahon is arrested. I think there's a lot of reasons that someone in the McMahon family could be arrested. I think with the scandal going on with Vince McMahon, he could be arrested literally any day. I could see Linda McMahon getting arrested. I don't think Shane's done anything recently, but he's also not been in the news. I don't even know what he's really up to, so he could be committing crimes. I'm going to start things off on the very sour note, the idea of a McMahon being arrested. Let's move on to something a little bit lighter. I didn't want to just stick to major companies. I wanted to look at the indies, the movers and the shakers in terms of the level down in the way of professional wrestling. And one company is really, really appealing right now. And that's why I'm predicting JCW will get a TV deal. JCW is, of course, the company owned by the Insane Clown Posse. But as time has been going on, they've been making a lot of big moves. Vince Russo is now in charge of the booking there. They do a lot of work with Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret. They have a lot of fantastic talent in there. And it's just a different vibe from what's currently on television. It feels like an outlaw show. You know, usually the word outlaw show is said with disdain, but there's something rebellious about JCW, and I like that. And I could see a TV company wanting to have that sort of flavor on their network. So I'm going to predict a TV deal for JCW. We move on now. Next up, I've given many negative awards to ROH. ROH is my worst company 2 years in a row. My worst promotion 2 years in a row. So we got to fix this. We got to do something to make ROH matter. I don't think this will actually fix the problem, but I think it is something that will happen. I'm predicting an ROH invasion angle. Like, Tony Khan has had ROH for a very long time right now. And to me, the most obvious way to make money with that would be with the video library. But we're not really seeing ROH pop up on like Max, but it's still available through like Honor Club. And if you want to make Honor Club more valuable, you got to put a spotlight on ROH. But you're not going to give ROH a TV show because that actually makes Honor Club less valuable because now it's on TV. So you have to find a way to use ROH and get eyes on it if you want it to be profitable. And the best way to do that is have them beat up some AEW wrestlers. Then you have a conflict between these two companies, and hey, what's this ROH thing that's beating up all my AEW favorites? I think an invasion angle is very similar to what TNA is doing with NXT currently, but I really feel like there is an issue in AEW where they feel like not everyone's being used enough. And how do you get everybody used? How do you get everybody TV time? You give people a reason to watch ROH. And the way you do that is you bring them onto AEW, and then hopefully you bring fans kicking and streaming to ROH. I don't think it will be good, but I have a really bad feeling it's going to happen. Next up, I know I'm not the greatest at these predictions. Hell, I said that the Young Bucks were going to break up, and that's such a ridiculous idea to take something that's such a great known quantity, something that's a staple of AEW television, something that's made so much money, and break it for no reason. Such a silly idea. However, I am predicting FTR breaks up. I love FTR. I think they're doing some really good work here. I think they're great as faces. I think they're great as heels. I think they're one of the best tag teams, but I also think they've done everything that needs to be done in AEW as in terms of being a tag team. Like, I guess they could add somebody if they want to go after the trios titles, but I think I would really like FTR as a solo act. Like, we did see Dax Hardwood and Cash Wheeler go one-on-one once during the Owen Hart tournament, and I think we could see more of that. Both individuals have great personality. They're both great on the mics. I think that having them break out on their own is the next logical step for these two. Like, we've already had them winning the ROH title. Like, they did the belt collector thing before Monet and before Omega was doing it. They've done everything they could as a tag team. I think the breakup is coming. I think this is their final reign as the champions, and then we're gonna see a split. So I'm predicting that FTR will break up in 2026. Staying with the world of AEW, AEW has really redefined a lot of great wrestling. Like, I love their Casino Gauntlet match. They've had some of the greatest cage matches I've seen in quite some time. Darby Allin does the Coffin match better than anybody currently doing the Coffin match. I think they add a lot in terms of the stipulations that they incorporate. Things like Anarchy in the Arena is a fantastic and something that I always look forward to. They're just really good at stipulations. But you know what they've never done? Something on a pole. I think there will be an AEW on a pole match at some point. And it's one of the worst stipulations in wrestling. An on a pole match is basically, we can't afford to do a ladder match, or we want to save a ladder match for later. No one's ever said this is the greatest on a pole match I've ever seen. And that's something that people like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks and Hangman Adam Page like to grab hold of. Like, oh, there's never been a good on a pole match. Well, then let's change that. I think we will see in AEW an on a pole match, and I think it's going to be great. Now, I really wanted to predict as well the return of AEW, because I'm very upset that AEW ended just out of nowhere. I think it was a shame. I think it's a show that could last forever. I know they made comments of like, oh, we're out of guests, but no, you travel the world. You could have anybody be on this show. Don't get rid of AEW. And then I noticed this like weird edge in RJ City as of late. Like, they were bringing up a lot of things from his past, and on the pre-show he was getting like real annoyed with Bryan Danielson, like repeatedly. And that's why I think RJ City's gonna wrestle this year. I think we will see an RJ City match at some point in AEW. My gut is telling me that it will be against Bryan Danielson. I don't feel confident enough to make that the full prediction, but I thought I'd hedge my bets a little bit and just say he will have a match. Maybe he'll be in a Casino Gauntlet, maybe it'll be a tag, but I think we will see a match with RJ City. We take a step back now from AEW and let's head over to WWE, where we have entered the final year of the phenomenal AJ Styles. Now, I don't think they're going to do what they did to John Cena in terms of his last year, nor should they, because they didn't do John Cena's last year very well. But I think we need to have a good send-off for AJ. I'd like to see AJ face a bunch of people he had never faced before. I think it would be a shame if he never had a match with like Trick Williams or Carmelo Hayes or Dragunov. I think these are matches we need, but we also want to see him face some of his greatest rivals again. We want to see AJ Styles have one more match with lots of people, and I think we're going to get the opportunity to see that. By the time that this goes up, he will have appeared on TNA television once again. And it would not surprise me if they had him in a big match at like a Bound for Glory or something like that, because he was Mr. TNA. So I think we are going to see him face off with a lot of his greatest rivals. Which means I am predicting that one more time we will see the phenomenal AJ Styles go one-on-one with James Ellsworth. Doesn't that seem like a thing WWE would do? They would just be like, oh, this guy has 3 victories over AJ Styles. And then it's James Ellsworth. I absolutely think this one's going to happen. I'm not thrilled about it. It's funny. But I think we will see James Ellsworth face off with AJ Styles one more time. Moving on to something a bit more serious here. We are a year away from WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. And that's something that's been weighing on my mind for quite some time. There's just something about it that's like worrisome. And there's like the international incident possibility. And I wanted to originally predict that GCW would do the collective for WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. But it's kind of too far out, and I don't know if we'll get that confirmed this year. So instead, I'm going with there will be a GCW mass exodus. I think GCW is going to lose a huge chunk of their roster this year, whether it be from them getting signed or from them not wanting to work for GCW anymore for other reasons. I think GCW has a lot of momentum, but they've already lost Matt Cardona, and I believe right before I started recording this video that Allie Katch stated that she will not be going back to GCW. So I think a lot of the mainstays of GCW are going to start disappearing soon. This is not an attack on them as a company. It's just something that I see in my crystal ball. I can't believe I put this next one on my bingo card. And I honestly believe it's going to happen. It's actually kind of related to something later in the bingo card, but boy, AEW sure has too many titles. Like, remember when they combined the Continental title and the International title just to kind of unglue them together for the Continental Classic? And now we have 2 titles again. Plus, we added the national title so Ricochet could have a belt. There's just too many titles. And I think AEW is going to add another one. I think we are going to see the creation, or the incorporation at least, of an AEW 24/7 title. Now, this might be just a new way that they do the BTE title, if you watch Being the Elite. But I have suspicions and feelings that they're going to add a comedy title. And what's the biggest comedy title? It is a 24/7 title. More on that later. But more on AEW. I am sad to say that I think this one's going to happen, but it makes the most sense to me. AEW tries to be different from WWE. You know, they try to have more work rate matches and try not to fall into the cliches of the WWE. But one cliche that I think they're inevitably going to fall into is that of the general manager. Someone to be a figurehead and kind of be the one that's like making the matches. Now, I know we have the EVPs, we have Tony Khan, but we don't have someone to be kind of a force between those two, to be in charge. I know Christopher Daniels kind of did that, but I think we need a new kind of just head. Someone that's booking the matches in storyline for AEW. And I think they're going to feel the need to create that so they can do something for Adam Cole. I'm predicting we are going to see GM Adam Cole in 2026. I think Adam Cole is too important of a voice in the world of professional wrestling that if he can't get in between the ropes and wrestle, he still needs to be involved. He still needs to be creating because he is one of the best minds in the world of professional wrestling. And I think the best way to make sure that he's always backstage is to give him an on-screen character while he's not wrestling. And I think the obvious character to give him is as a general manager. So I'm predicting general manager Adam Cole, baby. This one was a bit of a mistake. I was thinking about how the WWE has kind of been everywhere. And originally I wrote WWE Fortnite, but I forgot that that totally happened already. Like there are skins for like Cody Rhodes and The Undertaker in Fortnite already. So I changed it to WWE Video Game Guest Character. I'm saying that a WWE wrestler will be a playable character in a video game. Originally, I was thinking like guest fighting game character, like, you know, Cody's doing the Street Fighter movie, so maybe he shows up not as a Guile skin, but as an original fighter in Street Fighter. That's what I'm kind of predicting. Maybe we have a character show up in Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat likes to do like the guest characters. We already had Peacemaker as a fighter in Mortal Kombat. Why not have John Cena? I also think that there's a possibility that Uncle Howdy or Bray Wyatt could be in Dead by Daylight. So there's some hedging of my bets, but I don't usually do good on my bingo card, so I need more options. So I'm saying there will be a WWE video game guest character this year. Let's circle back to that 24/7 title I was talking about. Because you see, I think something very interesting is going to happen this year, because there is a kind of capturing of land happening right now. Like, we saw that AEW is partnered with CMLL, and then WWE bought AAA. And there's also been this kind of debate in Japan. Like, AEW has been partnered with New Japan Pro Wrestling for quite some time now. Like, pretty much since the start of the company, they've been working with New Japan. There's been talk of WWE partnering with Pro Wrestling Noah. So that's kind of like the battle going on in Japan, but I think that there's kind of an element that's getting lost in there, and that's why I think this is the year that a major North American company will buy DDT. If you don't know, DDT is a very comedic wrestling company, often with outdoor, no-ring matches that Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega used to spend a lot of time in. So I could see that being a reason why AEW would be interested in something like DDT. I also think WWE would buy DDT just so AEW can't have it. And of course, DDT has their own 24/7 title. And I could totally see, if DDT gets bought by AEW, them using that Iron Man title as a 24/7 comedic title in their company. See, I'm really betting on that 24/7 title and AEW thing happening. I meant to, before I made this card, do some research on who owns DDT, because I don't actually know that. But hopefully, to be honest, hopefully it doesn't get bought. I hope this one doesn't happen. It's just a feeling I have. Now, in the middle square, this used to be a free space, and instead I have something kind of silly in this spot. So it's a shame that it's something that a lot of my bingo lines depend on, because it's the middle square, because it's not something I really want to happen, but it is the most WWE thing I could think of, because, as I just said, WWE bought AAA. And AAA's big star that broke out in terms of the WWE audience seems to be Mr. Iguana. And I love me some Mr. Iguana. I think he's great. I think that the WWE is recognizing that he's great. But Mr. Iguana is one of those people that kind of has a ceiling on how far a name like Mr. Iguana would go in the WWE system. That's why I think Mr. Iguana has a gimmick change. I mean, whenever WWE gets their claws into someone, the first thing they do is change their name. Now, there hasn't been a lot of name changes coming from the AAA side of things, but there also haven't been a lot of people from AAA getting on to like NXT or SmackDown, except for, Mr. Iguana. So I could totally see WWE investing in Mr. Iguana, thinking they're going to sell a bunch of iguana puppets. The iguana puppets sell really well, but then they stop, and then they think, well, we got to do something new. Let's take the face paint off of him. That's my prediction right there. I think they're going to change Mr. Iguana's gimmick, and I hate it. Now, my next one, this just comes from annoyance, I think, because I really, really hated Survivor Series. Survivor Series was my worst show of the year in my Worst of the Year awards. And I think WWE is constantly getting compared to AEW and needed the victory here. Needed the War Games was a good show, like badge of honor that year, more than ever. And since it didn't happen, I'm going to predict that the WWE sues AEW over blood and guts. Like, I know that WWE owns War Games and the Match Beyond because they bought WCW, and thus the concept is now owned by the WWE. They would then have to prove that AEW is stealing the concept that they own, and I think it would be hard to do. But I could see WWE trying, because I think Blood and Guts really embarrassed the WWE this year. So if anything else, if they could tie it up in some sort of like legal problem, it would hurt AEW more to not be able to do Blood and Guts than WWE during this whole lawsuit not being able to do War Games, because then you just do Survivor Series matches. So I think it would be a good evil strategy from the WWE to sue AEW over blood and guts. This next one, for some reason, I am the most confident in. I feel so strongly that this is a thing that's going to happen. Right now, we currently don't know the status of Chris Jericho. But I believe in 2026, we will see Chris Jericho become the DS. And he will win the World Championship for a 10th time in TNA. It seems to me like it is important for Chris Jericho to actually be the GOAT in wrestling. John Cena is the greatest of all time in the WWE. But I think Chris Jericho wants to be the best of all time in the world of wrestling. And he's truly a man who's done it all. He's held the WWE title, the AEW title, the ROH title. He had matches in New Japan. Chris Jericho has done so much. But he's never been in TNA. And I could see either Chris Jericho brushing off both companies, doing the Chris Jericho reinvent myself thing, and going to TNA and winning that title, or going to WWE and being like, hey, I want to win the TNA title. And then have Chris Jericho on WWE television holding the TNA title. And just having that be a big victory lap for the WWE. Like, look, Chris Jericho, our guy, not an AEW guy, is holding the TNA title on our show. Man, WWE sure owns wrestling. I really feel like this is coming. I think it benefits WWE. I think it benefits Chris Jericho in a way that Chris Jericho likes to benefit himself. I really think this one's going to happen. Chris Jericho will hold the TNA Championship. And staying in the WWE, last year I predicted that Dominic Mysterio would be Mr. Money in the Bank. And I think that that's should happen. I think that that still needs to happen. But instead of picking someone to win the briefcase, I am going to predict what will happen to the briefcase. I predict in 2026, both cash-ins will fail. I think Triple H doesn't really like the Money in the Bank concept, and I think he wants to devalue it. Because before, when it really started, it was a golden ticket to the top of the card. That's what it was pitched as. And for the most part, if you won Money in the Bank, you were the next world champion. That is what was coming. And over time, it has kind of been devalued with some failed cash-ins, Austin Theory cashing in for the US title and failing. I think this is a concept that Triple H doesn't really know what to do with. So the best way to get rid of it is have the winners just lose it. And then you don't have to think about it anymore. I think both the men's and women's Money in the Bank briefcases will be failures. Next, we have a weird one. This is just something that I couldn't kind of get out of my mind. I don't know why. But I think with the rise of AI, that there will be a major wrestling AI match scandal. This is not me saying that a company will use AI, for a promo, like for advertising purposes or for a Tron, or use AI music. I think that we will see a major company try to use AI to either create a whole match, like, oh look, it's Hulk Hogan. He's back and he's having a match right now against Andre the Giant. And it's all AI created, but it's officially put out by the WWE and everybody hates it. Or they will attempt to use AI to hide something or do something impossible in an actual match. I think we'll go too far in the use of AI, and it'll be bad in a scandal. That is what I'm predicting. Now, I have a rule with my bingo card that I can only reuse one thing from last year. And the one thing that I think has to happen this year with the partnership between WWE and TNA is that WWE will have an Ultimate X match. I'm not letting this go. I want to see an Ultimate X match in the WWE. I think it'll put a nice stamp of approval on the match type in, the biggest company of the world, and TNA can still own it and have it be their key match. But I think a big showcase for the Ultimate X would be a really good thing for TNA to have, and I think it benefits everybody. Plus, they need something to fill up their card because, War Games will be in that lawsuit. Moving on, this is another one that I can't believe hasn't happened yet, but I don't think anyone's seeing it. We had so much advertising in the WWE this year. We are now seeing ads on the Money in the Bank briefcase, around the ringside area and on the mat. We're seeing Slim Jim sponsored tables. I am predicting that we will have the first ever sponsored finishing move. I think that we will see CM Punk bring back the Pepsi Plunge, and it will actually be sponsored by Pepsi. The two ways that I could see this happen is that WWE earnestly has someone have a sponsored finishing move. Here comes the F5 flipping everybody around like a twisted T. I think that will earnestly happen to somebody. Probably won't be someone at the top of the card, but I could see the Miz's skull-crushing finale being about gushers or something like that. Or I could see AEW doing it as a joke to make fun of the fact that WWE has so much sponsored content, to have them give someone a sponsored finishing move. Just having someone come in as a big sellout as their character. And this would be great for Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle type character. I don't think Chris Jericho is going to be there much longer, but the idea of having someone doing the sports entertainer thing and having a sponsored finishing maneuver. So those are the two ways that I think it's going to go. Next up, just a very simple one. I think we will see one more match for Mick Foley. Mick Foley said that he wanted to have one more match when he turned 60. He unfortunately suffered a concussion when he was training for it, and he canceled his last match. I think that there will be something that urges Mick to get back into the ring. Like, we've already seen him start to pop up more and more and just kind of like, do his clothesline and do Mr. Sacco. But I think he's getting that itch to have one more match. So I think we'll see the one more match for Mick Foley this year. Maybe he'll fight AJ. Now, I've already mentioned Saudi Arabia and mentioned the idea of GCW doing the collective for WrestleMania 43. I predict, actually, that there will be an announcement this year that WrestleMania 43 will be in the United States. I'm not saying they're going to cancel it. I think there's a good chance that night 1 is in, like, Chicago, and then night 2 is in Saudi Arabia. I feel like, especially with like the Royal Rumble coming up soon and the fact that the stadium that they're supposed to have it in is not built yet, that there could be an issue with this Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia that will force WWE to kind of pull back. That is my big guess. Now, I said we weren't going to go obvious, and there's been a bunch of talk that we will see Brock Lesnar retire at SummerSlam. And I've been doing a lot of thinking of like, who finishes Brock's career? Who's going to have the last match with Brock Lesnar? Who will Brock Lesnar face at SummerSlam? And I have it. Brock Lesnar misses SummerSlam. I think Brock Lesnar is too big of a personality to really nail down, and the idea of him having a retirement tour where he's officially says, I'm not coming back, not a thing that Brock Lesnar would do. So I'm just going to call right now, Brock Lesnar's not on the card. I'm not saying that he will have retired. I'm not saying that he no-shows. I'm simply saying he won't be there. You will not see Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam this year. Mark it down. And speaking of people missing things, this came to me literally in a dream, and I hate this because I don't want this, but it's something that I dreamt, and then it lived right here, and it's going to stay there until it comes out of this hole and goes into that camera. What a terrible way to describe something. But here is my prediction. I think Cody will miss WrestleMania this year. I don't know why. I just have this feeling in the pit of my stomach that Cody's been going so hard ever since he came back that either his body will give out on him or he will reach that next level of stardom and be forced to do something else during Mania 42. I don't think we will see Cody Rhodes in Vegas this year. And speaking of that next level of stardom, I really believe that this is going to happen, and it's something we are going to know if it happens very soon. Because 2 years ago, I very foolishly said that The Rock would get an Oscar nod, because I forgot that there were the Oscar nominations come out next month. So that being said, I think we will see 3 nominations for Smashing Machine in the Oscars. I don't think Oscars are really about what the best movie was. I think this is all about the political game and, talking to the judges and getting your campaign out there. I think that Smashing Machine is definitely going to get at least 1 nomination. I wanted to really boost things up and say 3. I am not positive it's going to be The Rock as Best Actor, but I could totally see Smashing Machine picking up makeup, costuming, and sound editing for sure. I think WWE and TKO as a whole pumped so much money into the Smashing Machine that it needs to have that Oscar nomination to give their company the prestige it was looking for in creating that movie. So I'm saying at least 3 nods for Smashing Machine. And let's end on something positive. My final prediction is I just wanted something kind of fun, and it's something that I believe is deserved and will probably happen. I think we will see Chelsea Green go viral. I'm not saying like the spot she did at Money in the Bank where she went through the table. Like that was a viral wrestling moment. I'm talking something big. I'm talking fandangoing big. I'm talking yes chant big. I think Chelsea Green is so talented and has her finger on the pulse of culture that she will do something so grand that it will be seen by everyone in the world. Chelsea Green goes viral in 2026. And that is the full bingo card. What do you guys think? Do you think I have a chance of getting a bingo this year? I think I'll do better than I did in 2025 at least. Also, what is your bingo card? Please send me a link to your bingo card. I'd love to see what's on there. Just remember the rules. It has to be something so grandiose and bold that it would make someone say, that wasn't on my bingo card, if it happened. Please share that in those comments down below. And while you're down there, be sure to hit subscribe so you get a notification next time I upload a video, which hopefully will be next week. Nearly forgot to do my plugs. This Saturday I'll be at Neshaminy Creek for CZW Blacklight. The next week I will be at Power Pro Luchas for Fist of the North Star at the Arling Specter Squash Center. Be sure to join me at those events. Links are in the comments down below. Or not the comments, the description down below. You know what I meant. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.